Welcome back to the Stick 'em Up podcast. Brundi, we are back. We took a little bit of a unscheduled break there earlier in the week. I got pretty sick. We all got sick at the house over here. Luckily, you seem to avoid it, which is very good. And we can finally talk about hockey again. And there's been a whole lot of stuff going on between the playoffs, which we'll definitely talk a lot about in the back half of this episode. But for the first bit, we got quite a bit of news going on around the league, not only with trophies, finalists announced, but we got some firings from some high profile head coaches. We got some changes in GM roles, in president roles. We got all kinds of stuff going on. So let's just jump in and go through the list. Do we want to start with the Calder Trophy?
Let's do it. Let's dive right in.
So the Calder Trophy for Rookie of the Year. Did they even announce the finalists?
Yeah.
At any point? Okay. Because I was shocked by this because I didn't know we were going to get the winner of it so soon. But on, what was it? Good Morning America, one of those morning TV shows. They had Matthew Schaefer on, and they came out and awarded him with the Calder Trophy. It was obviously later announced that he was also the first unanimous winner of the award since Teemu Selanne in '93. Only the second unanimous Calder winner of all time. And I get, it's only two people and it's with a Hall of Famer. That's elite company. I don't think people get how crazy of a stat that is. Teemu Selanne's rookie year is a one-off. It's a record that I would not be shocked if it's never broken. Isn't the second most goals in a rookie season 53, and then Selanne had 76 or something?
26.
It's outrageous. He was 23 or 24 when he was a rookie, so that helped a bit. But I can't see that happening in today's NHL, and that's the guy that he shares this with for being unanimous. Everybody, all 198 voters put him at number one on the ballot, and fully deserved. I mean, how could you make much of an argument for anyone else, really? He transformed that Islanders team.
And that's exactly it. I mean, you even go back to last season, right? And Lane Hudson winning the Calder. And it's, back-to-back seasons where defensemen have won the Calder too.
Defenseman with number 48, no less.
Yeah.
That's going to be Lane the future Hudson's 91.
His season was incredible. And we when we were kind of looking it over, it's that's going to be hard for any other rookie defenseman to do. And
yeah.
And again, it's no disrespect to Lane Hudson, but in my opinion, and I think in a lot of people's opinions, Schaefer season blew Hudson's out of the water. When you look at Schaefer coming in, as an 18-year-old defenseman, and when you tack on top of that he only played 21 games last season with the Erie Otters before, breaking his collarbone at the World injured. Juniors, and that ended his season, right? So
it almost made him not go first overall. People were talking about it,
yeah, people threw it out there, but I was always on the camp of you're gonna take him first overall. If it was something like an Achilles or a knee or something, maybe, but collarbone. That's
not something that generally shortens the longevity of a player's career or affects their play too much. It just kind of keeps you on the shelf.
Yes, when you look at it, it's he played his last, before playing in the NHL, his last game played was end of December. And then it's all the way coming around to, October. And he's getting into full on, competitive games again and whatnot. And to go out there and do what he did, he set the record for most points by an 18-year-old defenseman in NHL history. He tied Brian Leach's record for most goals by a rookie defenseman. His defensive play was, not elite or anything, but good to the point where it was already,
18-year-old is pretty good.
Yeah, an 18-year-old defenseman who, was in the league for 4 months, and people were already banging the drum of he needs to be on Team Canada for the Olympics. Is just incredible the season he had from start to finish, and again, totally turning around that Islanders franchise. And I know a lot of people are all up in arms and mad that that he won it because the Islanders didn't make the playoffs. And again, I think that's just stupid. I think this is an award that kind of stuff just doesn't matter. Yeah. Well, and I mean, in fairness, it is a lot of Montreal fans because, Demidov didn't win, and people are talking about Schaefer over Hudson, and they don't like that. But again, just what Schaefer did.
Forget Hudson. I'm talking Schaefer over Cale Makar. I'm talking that level. Not this season, and I'm not even saying next season, but I think
it's not gonna be long before he's in those conversations, though.
Guys like Lane Hudson, Cale Makar, Quinn Hughes, they come into the league and they put up these eye-popping offensive numbers from the blue line, but the whole way we're talking with those guys, there's a lot to be desired on the defensive end, though, isn't there? And obviously, as mainly Makar and Hughes, because they're older, have matured, they've gotten a lot better in the defensive zone while maintaining that offensive level.
Mm-hmm.
Schaefer already looks to be as good defensively as a guy like Quinn Hughes, I would say. I wouldn't say he's as good. I would say he's close. I would say he's pretty close.
And Quinn Hughes has what, 7 years on Schaefer, so
he's probably got around 500-600 NHL games, and Schaefer is 18. It's absolutely ridiculous how comfortable he looks already. If he can build on it on the defensive and offensive side, he could be one of those really rare players where we're looking at him going shit, he's going to put up a 90 point season, but he's also going to have really good defensive metrics. And usually the most you can ask for is a 90-point defenseman who is average defensively, which is fine because he's putting up the great offensive numbers. If he can be both, man, that's truly special. So I absolutely love him winning it. You did mention some of the other people up for this. You mentioned specifically Canadiens fans who might not like this take. But I know I already shared this with you a little bit before, but the only guy I could have seen taking any votes away, and I mean very few, away from Schaefer being unanimous, ended up coming in 6th in the award. Jesper Wallstedt. I definitely think Schaefer deserved to win it. But I wouldn't blame 3 or 4 guys if they gave it to a goalie who had a 916. We've been talking about Vasi and Sorokin being the top 2 goalies since January. Vasi looks like he's going to win the Vezina with what? I think he has a 912. Wallstedt's got a 916. I don't know how he was below Dubas, and frankly, I don't know how he's not at least 4th, if not cracking into that top 3 for the voting.
Yeah.
I guess it's games played, but he only played, I think, 7 or 8 less than Dubas. So I was surprised he was, further down than Jimmy Snuggerud, who also had a very good season. But when we're
there's
comparing,
quite a few. Yeah, I mean, I would agree with you again. In my opinion, I think Schaefer deserved it unanimous.
I wouldn't have blamed if a guy put Beckett Seneca as their number 1 and Schaefer's 2, I would have been hey, you're probably just a Ducks guy. Let that come on. He hasn't had a better season. At least with goaltenders, it's it's hard to differentiate the value of a skater versus a goalie. And this goalie had better important counting stats than the elite of the elite this season. He just didn't necessarily have the games played to back it up, I guess. I still think it was right that Schaefer got it and unanimously, but 6th feels a little rude to Wallstedt.
It absolutely does. Yeah. No, I'm with you. I thought he would have been higher. Again, probably not top 3 because I feel like that top 3 was pretty solidified. But I kind of thought he would comfortably be, in that 4th spot, just kind of outside the top 3. But
right,
the voters are weird, and speaking of voters being weird, I forgot to put it on here, but the Jim Gregory finalists for GM of the Year came out. Right. And the guy we thought could potentially be the unanimous winner in Kyle Dubas, not even a finalist. Bill Guerin of the Minnesota Wild, Chris McFarland of the Colorado Avalanche, and Pat Verbeek of the Anaheim Ducks are the 3 finalists for the Jim Gregory, which is the general manager of the year. I mean, Kyle Dubas should have won. I feel like he was the clear winner. We voiced that numerous times, and it was basically just who else, who's going to be the other finalists with him. But I always forget with this award. I forget it every year, and I put a note down so when we talk about it next year, I remember. This is the one award given out from the regular season that is voted on after the first round of the playoffs.
Not only that, but I just Googled it just to make sure. It's also one of the few ones that is voted on by all 32 NHL general managers. And then 5 league executives, who knows, and 5 media members. So it's a lot of the GMs doing it, which I think they just don't like Dubas. I think Dubas is a young guy who got into the league young. It's an old boys club. They're not a fan. Most of them don't like Toronto as well. Obviously, he's not still there, but you can't tell me it's not a little bit a part of it, right? And
I think a big part of it is because the Penguins went out round 1.
I mean, that's a huge part of it as well.
You look at Colorado. I mean, Chris McFarland. Absolutely. He probably should have been one of the finalists just because, Colorado won the Presidents, and you look at him wheeling and dealing at the deadline, and even beforehand, pulling off the trade, for Brett Kulak, which, we'll talk about Kulak in a bit, but Bill Guerin, again, he made the big move for Quinn Hughes, but I was very critical that he shouldn't have been a finalist because he never addressed that lack of center depth, and that's ultimately what fucked him over in the second round, which again we'll talk about. Pat Verbeek, makes sense because now looking at it after the first round, you look at the way he's kind of built this Ducks team up and then pulling the trigger on John Carlson, and John Carlson transformed that power play bit to the point where that power play was just mopping Edmonton in round 1.
Yeah.
But again, it comes down to Pittsburgh went out round 1. And so it's like, well, Penguins had a good season, punched above their weight all year. These guys kind of had breakout years, but they all went cold come playoff time. And then you guys went out round 1 to a Flyers team that you probably should have beaten. But again, it's so dumb. It's a regular season award. So why is it not being voted on at the end of the regular season? Why is it now? It's a regular season award, but you guys are going to factor in round 1 of the playoffs now. It's just very.
I've got the same gripe about a different part of it too. This is supposed to be a regular season award. You're saying, why are they taking into account the first round? I'm sitting here going, why are they obviously taking into account the Olympics? You can't tell me that Guerin putting together the team that won gold medal didn't factor into at least one of the 42 votes. But
you can make that argument for a bunch of other awards too. I think.
I don't like the GM of the Year award it's starting to feel a little bit like they're leaning towards which GM made the biggest trade. We don't really care how it worked out or any of that. We just who made the biggest trade? The Rantanen trade, give it to him. The Quinn Hughes trade, give it to Guerin. Maybe there's a world where they get swept, beat out in the first round next year, and Quinn Hughes walks for nothing. Yeah,
it's still a possibility.
Bringing him in obviously was huge for Minnesota, but I don't know. I like McFarland up there. I think he's taken a phenomenal team and somehow made them even better by a sizable amount somehow. I don't mind Verbeek. Guerin, it feels like a lot of people are like, he made the big trade, and they just voted for him without thinking. Yeah, and obviously Dubas is just a huge omission.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think Dubas should have absolutely been in there, but again, like I said with a bunch of these awards, I'm starting to just kind of be like, who fucking cares with them, because there's just no consistency with them, and
Yeah, it's just so too bad because like the whole reason the awards exist is so it's fun for the fans to be able to recognize these people, and they're having a real fun time deciding. Nope, it's for us to stroke our own egos, and that's much less fun as a fan to watch.
No, you're all right there. The last award that the finalists have been announced for, this was announced last Friday, the Hart Trophy. We know that Connor McDavid, Nathan MacKinnon, and Nikita Kucherov are the 3 Hart finalists. It makes sense. It kind of felt like it was going to end up. It was
a clear 3 of 4.
These 3. We know who the 4th is probably going to be. I'd be shocked if it wasn't Celebrini.
I would be shocked if it wasn't.
Again,
Celebrini.
I think it's a dumb argument, but I understand that he didn't get in there because the Sharks missed the playoffs. That's usually how it goes with the Hart. It's kind of got to be, your team's got to be in the playoffs to be nominated for this. So when it's kind of a battle between 4 guys, 3 make the playoffs, 1 doesn't, it makes it pretty easy to just, these are the 3 that are going to get the votes. And I don't think, I see a lot of Sharks fans saying like that it's a snub, that Celebrini's not a finalist. One of my favorite Sharks reporters, Shang Peng, is actually getting a lot of hate from Sharks fans because he put Celebrini as 2nd on his Hart ballot, not 1st. And it's one of those things where if you pick him first, you're a homer, and of course you're going to pick him. And if you don't pick him first, well, you hate him as a player, and you should have your media credentials from the team stripped away for sabotage. But we also know that, and I've said this before, a good majority of Sharks fans online aren't Sharks fans. They're just very horny individuals that like to throw a lot of shit.
Like,
I mean, yeah, but Sharks fans are
like there's just so many
the worst.
Like the most annoying people go to talk about it online. That's why it's always such a weird conversation. You meet the majority of them, of fans of basically any team, of any sport, in person, and they'll most likely act like regular human beings.
But you put them online and they're
anonymous, talking to somebody maybe in a different country. They can say whatever the hell they want. I can't wait till they freaking some ungoverning body sets up the task force that goes over and beats up people when they're idiots online.
I would love it.
Just like,
but again, in my opinion,
swatting Twitter bots.
Do I think the argument of Sharks didn't make the playoffs, so Celebrini shouldn't? Like, I think that's just dumb. Especially when you look at it, like, they were a much better team than LA. LA only got in because of their, forcing games to overtime just to lose and
was it
rack up the loser points
games?
and the numbers from Celebrini the next. But again, at the end of the day, it is what it is. I mean, probably by next year, Celebrini is going to be one of the finalists.
19.
So, and he got the Ted Lindsay nomination, which in most players' opinions, I think is more valuable than.
Definitely, in my opinion, is more important. Because it's the best player. It's not most valuable to their team, which is such a weird moving goalposts, and is voted on by the players, which I also think means more. So it's too bad that the Hart Trophy is positioned as more important, but it's only put as that because who tells us is more important? The media, who votes on the award. So that's just them pumping their own tires, right? Like, if you really read between the lines, the Lindsay is the big one. And
I don't think there's a bad option between these 3, though, for the Hart. Like, you can make a very solid argument for any one of them, and I'm like, yeah, absolutely. Because again, whoever wins,
like a split.
Yeah, you could pick any one of these 3, and I mean, obviously, there's going to be people out there that are going to say, one of these other 2 is maybe snubbed and that they didn't win, but I don't think there's a wrong choice.
It's the same way people really say like Kucherov was snubbed of the Hart when MacKinnon won it. It's like he had I think 3-4 more points, but like a lot of stats were really similar. Like should he have won it? Maybe. It's an argument. I don't think he was that much better than MacKinnon that it was a snub. Like, that's doing a bit of a disservice to the guy on the other side. And you can make such a great argument. McKinnon had, I'm pretty sure, the most even strength points of all of them, or at least I think he was tied with Kucherov, but he easily had the most goals. He won the Rocket, his team won the Presidents. He's clear reasons to. Well, McDavid, he carried the bad freaking Oilers team to the playoffs and won the Art Ross. How could it not be him? Well, those guys are both playing in the West. What about Kucherov, who has to go through the dogfight of an East and helped Tampa get in a seriously competitive division and led the league in points per game? Like, we could talk to our blue in the face and make half an hour episodes on each guy and why they deserve it. And you could do it with Celebrini too. Like, it really comes down to just what the majority of voters decided is important. Yeah.
And that's why with this one, I'm not even going to predict who I think will win, because it's impossible. All three are deserving. One's going to win, and I'm going to be happy with whoever wins, because again, I think all three are incredibly deserving.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to throw out there for the Hart finalists before I get into some firings?
No, I think we covered it pretty good. I have no idea which of them is going to. If I have to throw out a quick guess, I'll say McDavid. He won the Art Ross, and he also took a discount to be with that team, and putting up those numbers with the line mates he had to is pretty special.
Well, McDavid could win the Hart, but a coach that will not be winning anything this season at all. Chris Knoblauch, who was just fired today by the Edmonton Oilers. I believe I read his 3-year extension was set to kick in this offseason. Yeah. They went to back-to-back Cup Finals with him. They signed him to a 3-year extension last offseason. One bad year, and I think a bad year because the GM really kind of fucked things up there. Stan Bowman, obviously. And Chris Knoblauch pays the price and is fired before his extension can even kick in.
I think a lot of Oilers fans. I think a lot of Oilers fans are scared of this because they're like, what if the next coach isn't as good as Chris Knoblauch? I think you're scared for the wrong reason. Chris Knoblauch has been fired because I think that means only one person goes, and if he's going, that probably means Stan Bowman is staying for another year.
Stan Bowman's staying, yeah.
And that should be way scarier than any head coach you can conjure up in your mind, because the fact that he got into the playoffs with that roster shows how good of a coach he is, not bad. Like, that is not a good roster. It is a roster with 3 insane game breakers, and that's it. They somehow... We've been talking for like 4 years about them going and getting a better goalie, and then they downgraded this year and increased the cap hit and increased the term on it. Yeah. And they gave up a great defensive defenseman in that trade, dude.
Before they even tried out their goalie they had in the AHL, who ended up being their starter by the playoffs. Before even giving him a chance to be like, hey, let's run with him for a bit. Let's see if he can, carry the load and be our goalie. And they didn't even try that before making that move, which makes it look even worse. Like, again, is Chris Knoblauch a fantastic head coach? No. Is he a good head coach? Yeah. Do I think he, kind of had a bit of a bad year? Yeah. But again, I think he's kind of the one that is taking the blame for Bowman kind of, fucking him a bit, right? You look at this team and it's like, imagine if you didn't trade for Tristan Jarry and you still had Brett Kulak back there, and then you still had Connor Ingram as your goalie, who you ended up using come playoff time. And I think that was kind of, maybe that is kind of what fucked Knoblauch by the end of the season is, come playoff time, he went with his guy over the GM's guy. Bowman makes that big swing to bring in Tristan Jarry, and when it comes down to playoffs and, all eyes are on Edmonton to win, and Knoblauch says, I'm going with my guy in Ingram, not your guy in Jarry. He can be our backup.
He did say outright like in late March. We covered it on the podcast a couple months ago now. He came out and he said, going forward, we're going to be acting as if Ingram is the starter and Jari is the backup, because Jari was borderline unplayable. Like, Stan Bowman has just screwed that team so bad, and they are in such an important time in the franchise's history, with McDavid giving them that clear window, which it's starting to sound more and more like he's not going to give them that full 2 years. If it sucks this next year, he's not even, it sounds like he doesn't want to wait out that final year. So
because not only does he not want to, go through one more extra year, because again, like McDavid's going to be 30, right? Like the clock is finally starting to tick, and he knows that. Actually, I don't think. What is he?
I believe
he's only 28 right now.
I believe he's 20. I was going to say 29, but
I think he's 29, so he turns 30 next season in January. So, but not only that, McDavid does have a lot of respect for Edmonton, and he obviously loves that city, that organization. The fans.
He so badly wants to win there. He doesn't want to win elsewhere, but he would rather get traded and win a cup than stay and not win a cup.
Well, also he would rather get traded and allow Edmonton to get something back for him, as opposed to the John Tavares thing, right? Where when all year long in that final year, he's like, I'm an Islander, and my heart is here. I'm always going to be here. But in the back of his head, he was always going to Toronto. But if he knew he was going to Toronto, why would he say, trade me to Toronto? All these pieces go back to the Islanders, and then he goes to a worse and more depleted Maple Leafs team when he could go there for free, and everything's still there. There's a potential, hey, maybe in William Nylander for John Tavares, 1-for-1 happens.
That was exactly what I thought in my head.
Going to the Leafs. That makes the Maple Leafs an actively worse team when he gets there. So it sounds like McDavid's like, if he wants out, trade me, get something back. And because at that point, I think he's starting to just realize that it's just Edmonton. It's just the way that the organization's been run since he's been there, that it's not working. I mean, he's already gone through 5 head coaches. There's going to be a 6th head coach coming in now.
Yeah. He was only drafted 11 years ago. Like that, like 6? Man, like that's brutal. And I hope he lands somewhere in the middle, with, assuming the Oilers don't win a cup right away and he ends up wanting out. I think he should enter that last year of his contract going, I'm not going to re-sign if we don't win the cup this year. I don't see us. I don't know if we're headed in the right direction. And then being like, you can trade me or I can ride this year out. And not forcing a trade out, kind of leave it up to them and be like, wherever I'm going, I'm basically a rental. If you do trade me, you're going to get McDavid return, but not McDavid sign and trade term, because, he gets traded to, a team like Minnesota. Well, they're probably giving up some great freaking players on the way back. So does he want to commit to long term to that team that's losing those players? Maybe not. So maybe he helps Edmonton recoup those and he goes for a playoff run, and maybe he does end up resigning there anyway. Maybe they're still in a good enough spot that he thinks that's the best chance for him. Or maybe he goes, that was neat, but I could just sign with Colorado and only be an addition for them. The only addition is the cap hit. So I'm very interested to see how he's going to handle it and what goes on with that. It's impossible to predict right now. It's crazy when players of that magnitude get moved. It feels like, unless there's like this long-standing thing of like, we always knew he'd end up here, then you just have no idea where they're going to go. Nobody had Minnesota on the board for Quinn Hughes. Like, at least I certainly didn't. Like, that was out of nowhere.
They came out of nowhere. Yeah.
It looked like it would be impossible for him to not go to New Jersey, and all of a sudden Minnesota's a wagon with him. Like it's
Yeah.
gonna be real fun. In my lifetime, I've never seen a player of his skill level move teams, whether it's a trade or leaving free agency.
Yeah, kind of the only other one is Mikko Rantanen, because again, I'm not even throwing Jack Eichel in that tier.
Well, and I mean, even
personally, at least at the
even
time.
Rantanen he's not McDavid, right? Like,
no, but I'm saying like Rantanen, like Quinn Hughes is.
That's fair.
But again, it's impossible to compare defensemen to forwards, because again, like at the time, Rantanen's easily still a top 15 forward in the league, whereas Quinn Hughes is like the second best defenseman, and so it makes it a bit difficult there. We do know that before Knoblauch got fired, we'll just quickly brush through this. The Edmonton Oilers did reach out to Bruce Cassidy for the head coaching job in Edmonton, and Vegas said no.
So they didn't actually say fully no. They said not yet. Apparently, it's still ongoing, and they said like, no, you can't do it yet. And Edmonton's just like sitting there twiddling their thumbs, like, what? Can we interview him now? Not yet. And they're just like still leading him on. It's been almost a week of them doing that now. They're just fucking with him because they're a direct threat to them in the playoffs. Why would they help him out?
And
LA asked to interview him, and they were like, yeah, go ahead. And he interviewed with them, I think it was last Friday. It was like a full week ago now. He's interviewed with LA already, because they're like, he's not a threat there.
Interview him. Yeah.
Oh,
like people hate on Vegas
interviewed
for
him
it.
as well.
Well, it sounds like they're going to. They haven't interviewed him yet, but they're obviously going to. We'll get to Craig Berube in a sec here.
Due diligence.
And I get a lot of people are shitting on Vegas and whatnot, but you know what? Good on Vegas. I mean, you know what? They're already the villains of the hockey world. They'll do whatever it takes to win. Yeah, you have a great head coach in Bruce Cassidy, who things weren't going your way, so you fired him, you brought in Tortorella. It's working out pretty well for you right now. Bruce Cassidy did win you a cup. Is a great head coach. Yeah, why would you want him to go to Edmonton, who, as of right now, is... I mean, Anaheim is still kind of in there, but like Edmonton is like your biggest threat in the Pacific Division. Why would you want him to go there and spill all your secrets, right? Like,
yeah,
I don't blame Vegas, and people already hate him. So why would they do things to make people happy?
Dude, a head coach going over and telling Evan Bouchard, Leon Draisaitl, and Connor McDavid all your team's defensive strategies. Dude, you do not want... The last thing you want to do is face the Oilers in the playoffs, and they know your entire system because he's lived it. He created it like that.
And obviously, it's going to be changed under Tortorella, but still, like there's a bunch of things that
players have tendencies. Players have things they lean on when they don't know what's going on. They kind of revert back to a bit of a default setting, and who knows that better than the coaches? Like,
like if it gets down to like end of June, July, and whatnot, and Bruce Cassidy isn't hired anywhere, then they'll probably give Edmonton. But they're basically just being like, we'll let you, just not yet, to allow Bruce Cassidy to explore elsewhere, and maybe Toronto picks him up, or maybe LA picks him up. It's like, well, sorry, we just wanted to wait until the playoffs were done beforehand, but they, he wanted to go elsewhere. And if that happens, you know what? It sucks for Edmonton, but I don't blame Vegas, because it's all about winning the cup. And why would you give your divisional rival a huge upgrade when you can be like, no?
It makes it so much more interesting that they're doing this just to Edmonton. They're letting all the other teams like interview with them. Like, if they were just saying, no, you can't talk to anybody, I'd be like, okay, you guys are being losers about this. Go let a man find a new job. But no, the fact that it's Edmonton specifically is like, that's kind of just good business. That's just kind of smart.
That's exactly what it is.
Like, if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying.
Yeah. We did, and obviously, speaking of Bruce Cassidy and potential jobs for him, there is an opening in Toronto. The Toronto Maple Leafs, after seemingly kind of, new GM, John Schaefer, kind of sounding like he was going to bring back Craig Berube and liked him as a coach. No, they fired him. Craig Berube is out in Toronto, and I mean, you kind of had to. Again, like, is Craig Berube a great coach? Yeah. Does he have a Stanley Cup as a coach? Yeah. Is he a huge reason of why that St. Louis team won the cup? Yeah. But it didn't work in Toronto.
It's not going to work, and it's not going to work in Toronto.
That roster is just a bit, it sucks to say, but too soft. They're too soft for what Craig Berube hockey is. St. Louis bought in, Toronto couldn't. So yeah, why try and make it work when it's just not going to?
Berube's too intensive a guy for Toronto. Like, he wants to go out there and be able to really motivate these guys, and he's kind of one of those old-fashioned, a bit more yelly coaches. And it's not because he's a dick necessarily, although it definitely looks like it at times. It's more because he's just trying to get the best out of his players the way he knows how. And you got to answer for that a lot more in Toronto than anywhere else.
Yeah.
I don't think the city is a fit for him. I don't think the roster is a fit for him. It's, like you said, he's a great coach and he's going to do well somewhere else. That doesn't mean if he goes and wins a Jack Adams somewhere next year, that doesn't mean it was a bad idea for Toronto to let him go. It's just, he's not meant for it. He's not meant to be a Maple Leaf. As a coach.
And that's, I mean,
props to Schaefer for realizing that, assuming he made the call, and getting in on the head coach market early, because the last thing they want to do is wait, and then they have no options. That's exactly what happened to them at the trade deadline, and they ended up getting shafted for players. So,
I mean, it's a new era in Toronto, I think a big part of it, too, is obviously Austin Matthews putting some pressure on the Leafs and being like, you guys got to show me that there's going to be improvement here. Otherwise, get me out. And, it's obviously a new era. When you jump up, you get the first overall pick. You've got Gavin McKenna. That means you don't have your first round pick the next 2 years. So you've really got to start just going all in, because it doesn't matter if next year, if you jump up from 10-1, doesn't matter. You're losing that first rounder. So Toronto's obviously going to be going all in. You got to please Matthews. You got to put Gavin McKenna, assuming they take Gavin McKenna, in a position to
It'd
succeed.
be crazy if they didn't.
You do got to kind of restart and create a new identity with a new head coach. Maybe it's Bruce Cassidy, maybe it's Chris Knoblauch. Who knows? But you did have to move on from Craig Berube at this point now.
Yeah,
and as good of a coach as he is, this had to be done.
This Leafs situation is just interesting because
it's fun.
Because now they're at a point where, like before, the options were everything around losing Matthews. You can't lose this player. You can't. They got Gavin McKenna now. Like, again, assuming they take him.
Yeah.
If Matthews really wants out, you can trade this player, get a bunch of really great pieces for one of the greatest goal scorers we've seen in the sport, and you already have one of your future franchise cornerstones who is like, I don't even know if he's 18 right now. He might be 17. Like, I don't even know if he's 18 yet. Like, obviously they would rather keep both players and make something out of it sooner. But if they don't improve enough next season and push comes to shove, they could go into a rebuild, but they don't need to be down there at the bottom getting those picks, because they already have that guy, and you can get another top tier one for Austin Matthews plus. Like, it makes it an option, whether they like it or not. There is a world where Nylander, Cowan, Nyes, McKenna, and anyone that they can get in return for Matthews is the core.
Yeah. It makes it interesting. And, again, like, eyes are always on the Leafs during the off season, because it's Toronto,
huge market.
Right? But it's going to be different this offseason, because everything's going to be under a microscope, because everything kind of leads to the future success of Gavin McKenna. Again, assuming they take him, is he going to be in a good position, going forward. Are the moves going to be enough to keep Matthews around, or is he going to be like, I don't like what's happened, I don't like the direction, let's part ways? There's so many things, it's hard to tell, but it's going to be interesting. But this is obviously the first step in turning this franchise around in the firing of Craig Berube, and we'll see what they do. Edmonton and Toronto, I mean, both head coaching jobs open, both probably pretty desirable jobs, I would say.
I mean, yeah, two huge markets. And who do you want to coach? Matthews in the first overall pick, or Connor McDavid and Draisaitl? Like,
yeah,
that's
both
pretty
fantastic options. Absolutely. The third Canadian team we can talk about.
One other thing.
Oh, yeah, one more thing.
I'm just going to toss it in there. We don't have to really break it down. There's not a ton to say, but I think it is fun to at least report it. Because I believe it came out since our last episode. Gavin McKenna's mom getting charged with buying alcohol, basically bootlegging for minors, dated on the exact day of the Gavin McKenna punch situation. So
for her,
it's just very funny that all that came to light and became public within, I think, 2 or 3 days of Toronto winning the draft lottery.
Toronto winner.
So it's just real funny that as soon as that happened, all of a sudden this comes out, and who knows if McKenna was drinking and they were buying for him, or if it was whatever was going on, right? But
we love a good party, Mom.
And I mean, come on, Gavin McKenna is going to make money hand over fist in this league, barring something just horrible. So, yeah, she's going to be just fine.
Yeah, I'm not too worried about any of that. Yeah, I did totally forget about that, and yes, the timing was convenient to say the least.
It's entertaining, if nothing else. Is this how NFL fans feel all the time talking about this?
Oh yeah, it's nuts. But the Vancouver Canucks named, promoted assistant GM Ryan Johnson to their new general manager, and also now have both the Sedins, Henrik and Daniel. They are the co-presidents of hockey ops there, so completely changing around their front office, and they've got their new guys in place to run this. And I mean, in my opinion, I think this is a slam dunk. This is awesome for Vancouver. I mean, you look at Ryan Johnson, and not this past season, but the season before, the Abbotsford Canucks, they won the Calder Trophy, and that's the AHL's Stanley Cup there. And this year, a big fall off. They 9th place, I think, in that division is last place. But again, the Canucks were just an absolute shitter this year, and a lot of the good players that he had down there kind of got yoinked because the Canucks needed bodies. Up on the NHL
half their
team,
roster won the Calder Cup with them. Like, I bet more than half of the Vancouver Canucks won it in Abbotsford last year. Like, they traded so many NHL players out that, yeah, it would make a lot of sense. And I just really hope this guy's able to do his job the way he wants to. It's just one of those things that until the team has a new owner, we're going to talk about it every time they come up. The Francesco Aquilini just does not like spending money. He does not like people telling him what to do. He thinks he is smarter than you, and he is going to prove it no matter what.
It's just an owner who just wants to have his hands in the cookie jar at all times, right? Like, there's, numerous owners who still kind of are, and like, it's understandable. It's you're the owner and whatnot. Like, it's your organization, your franchise, sure, but like, then you just be the GM. Like, you can be hands on and
job and be straight up GM.
Yeah, like you could be involved with the team and whatnot. What's Ryan Smith with like Utah? Like, that's fine, because he's not. He's a big part of the team. He's a big. He's very out there and part of making the moves, but he's not dictating what the GM can and can't do. He's not saying you want to do this.
Yeah.
You got to run it by me and I'll make the final call. You got to if you're going to hire a guy to a role to do a job, you got to fucking let him do a job. Do his job that he's supposed to do.
Yeah.
And that's been a problem in Vancouver.
That's why Buffalo was so bad for so long.
Maybe it'll be, yeah.
The Sabres owner notoriously needs to be notified personally on every single move. And I do mean every single move. Like, they want to send a guy down for conditioning stint. You got to call the fucking owner for that. The GM can't handle that. I remember the one trade. I can't even remember who they traded, but it was an expiring like fourth line guy. And I think they traded him somewhere in Canada, maybe to Winnipeg. And they got back a 6th or a 7th overall or a round pick. And they were talking to like guys who'd been in the organization before, and it's like, yeah, no, even that has to be run by Big Chief himself. And it's like,
yeah, it's pretty
holy
nuts.
shit. Like, that's like, dude, you can't do anything without a say so. No wonder they've been so bad for so long.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, like you said, Ryan Smith, he goes in there and he's like, he doesn't say, I want this player, make it happen. He goes in there and says, I want to make a big splash, find me a good impact player, and let's see what we can do. And then he goes and gets a guy like Sergachev, and they can workshop a deal that works there. You know, they can get guys like Peterka and Uyghur, and they don't have to sell the farm to do it because they're so desperate to appease the owner by getting him today, not tomorrow. So
yeah, and I mean, this hiring of Ryan Johnson I like, because again, with Vancouver, I kept saying go the route of someone new in this role. And again, you know, it is a promotion. It's a guy that's already kind of been in a GM role, but now he's the guy, you know, and he'll have his own assistant GM in there, and he's now in charge of the Canucks, and it's something new for him. And I love that, as opposed to you grab, you know, any other GM that's been fired in the last like 2 years, and it's like, yeah, we're going to bring you in. Yeah, it's a new guy in there now, and he can start to build this team up the way he wants. Already got some decent pieces in place. And then you bring the Sedins in, who are icons for the Vancouver Canucks, and they can be the, you know, it's pretty funny. They're now the co-president of hockey ops, you know, still just working side by side and doing their thing. I love that for them. And
yeah, they've been working up to this for a while, pretty much since they retired from on-ice play. They've been kind of in that Dwight Schrute situation. They're like assistant to the general manager kind of thing. Like, they've just been in that learning role, and yeah, everything you hear out of the org, they sound great for it. So
yeah, I think this is all great hires by the Canucks, and all I can say is I'm just
they can do with this situation.
What they can do. Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, who knows better how to sweet talk the guys who are just so high on their own supply at the top of the food chain in Vancouver? Who would know better than the guy who was assistant GM before? Like, he's already been there. Like, I feel like that's better than... This isn't a situation where you need a fresh set of eyes from outside. You need a guy who knows how to wrangle the dudes at the top and try and talk them down from bad situations. So, yeah, I think this is about the best decision they could have made on that regard.
Yeah, it really is great for Vancouver, and a team that didn't really have a lot of wins this past season. They start the offseason off with well, I guess they didn't really start the offseason off with a win, because you did lose the draft lottery. But you did bounce back with this one, which I think all these hirings are a W, and yeah, we'll see what happens. Playoffs.
Let's talk about the freaking playoffs.
Let's talk about the playoffs now. We're near the end of the second round, but we're not quite there. It is 2 series are still going on, but 2 of them are done. 1 a sweep, 1 in 5. Where do you want to start here between any of them?
I figure you put them in a pretty good order here. I think we just go top to bottom.
Top to bottom.
The first one being the Carolina Hurricanes completing their sweep over the Philadelphia Flyers. I think it's going to be a relatively quick conversation. I mean...
Let me just start this off with you. For you.
Okay.
Emile Andre. Fractured wrist, requires surgery. Alex Bump,
Do not like
MCL sprain. Noah Cates, fractured foot, no surgery required. Nikita Grabenkin, upper body injury. Garnet Hathaway, fractured fibula.
Ooh.
Travis Konechny, fractured rib, nasal fracture. Owen Tippett, internal bleeding or muscle injury. Cam York, fractured rib. Trevor Zegras, elbow ligament sprain. Those are all the injuries that the Philadelphia Flyers put out today for their players.
Yeah.
To be honest, I don't even think it fucking matters. I think this team fully healthy. I think this team with these injuries, you're getting swept.
I mean, I think they may, like, 2 games went to overtime. I think they maybe win 1. Because like a lot of their top guys there were injured. You were saying guys like Tippett, Zegras, and Konechny, right? Like, those are big time players. If they're at full capacity,
they're big time. They're big time players.
Yeah, like they could have stolen one of those overtime games or something. It just even if their entire team is fully healthy, I don't think they win this series. I don't even think they push it to 7 or anything. But
maybe they still. But even
this certainly doesn't.
We don't know when these injuries happened. Is the tough part. They put the injuries out, but we don't know the time. I mean, we know Owen Tippett, like he had that for a bit. Like he didn't play much.
It sounds like he had it
round.
It sounds like he got it in the first round. Played a game or 2 with it, and then was told he couldn't anymore, which is crazy. Yeah, I mean, these guys, they want to win so bad, they're willing to play through stuff, but at the end of the day, you know, it's kind of like everyone was talking about Matthew Tkachuk playing in the finals against Vegas with the broken sternum, and people are like, good for him, tough it out, you got to do it for the win. He went out there and wasn't incredibly effective for most of the time after the injury happened, and that's not his fault. A broken sternum means your front as a person is all fucked up. Like,
it got to the point where his brother had to get him out of bed and get him dressed. It's like
if you can't get out of bed,
be playing at that point.
How are you going to play pond hockey, let alone NHL playoff hockey? Like
Stanley Cup final hockey, like it's
against Vegas. They don't give a shit if they hear that your sternum is broken. Guess what? They're going to make sure it doesn't ever get fixed. Like yeah. So hockey players are just ridiculous, and
they're different.
Luckily, the doctors and medical science and stuff is slowly getting better. I think Owen Tippett got shut down a little sooner than he would have in the past for this similar injury. We've seen guys like Bergeron play through a punctured lung and several broken ribs for several rounds, and it's like, that's a fun story. He shouldn't have been out there. That doctor should have been fired for allowing that. Like a fractured rib and a punctured lung, a bad hit could have killed him, and it's not exaggerating to say that. Like,
it's nuts.
It's ridiculous. But they were just outclassed.
The Carolina Hurricanes.
The Hurricanes are so good. They look real.
And again, it's like you said, it's going to be a quick conversation because we know how good this Hurricanes team is. We saw it round 1. We saw it round 2 again. I think, in my opinion, I think a little bit easier of a run for them as opposed to some other teams, but doesn't matter.
Sure.
It's not easy to pull off back-to-back sweeps. Regardless of who it's against.
That's what they get for winning the division.
Still impressive at the end of the day. Frederik Andersen, .950 save percentage in 8 games. A 1.12 goals against, 8 wins.
Freddie Andersen might fuck around and win a Conn Smythe.
He might. Yeah.
Like, that's
and I know before you ask it, because I know you're going to. Freddie Andersen, if he wins the Conn Smythe, is he a Hall of Famer? I don't know. That's my answer. Because I had a feeling that question might be coming, and I'm going to say I don't know.
You know what? I wasn't thinking of it now. I probably would have at least at some point in the playoffs, but Conn Smythe is one of those. Conn Smythe is one of those trophies that, as far as getting into like the Hall of Fame, I think it's one of the very few trophies that means more than a Stanley Cup. And I guess that's part in due to the fact that generally you get a Stanley Cup with it. But I think, if you're looking at a guy's resume and you go, yeah, but he won a Calder once, like that's not going to get you in the Hall of Fame, right?
Yeah, no.
But if you look at a guy and it's like,
hardest trophy to
He's
win.
got a Conn Smythe. Holy, like that's important.
Yeah.
So he's had a
Carolina,
career,
like
good career
from top to bottom. I mean, the fact that they can roll their 4 lines, their 3 defensive pairings, and just win again, like 8-0, not a single loss. I mean, they're the team to beat in the East. They're gonna have a lot of rest. Buffalo, Montreal. If that goes 7 games, they're gonna have Canes are gonna be coming into the Eastern Conference Final with a full week of rest, and whatever team gets through is gonna be beaten up. Like the door is wide open for them finally to win more than one game in the third round and get to that Stanley Cup final. I think it's their form, and it's totally in their hands at this point.
In the past, they've had to go through some tougher teams as well. Like, they're that one of those teams that hasn't been able to get over the hump, but they've always been running into, the Rangers were, until they fell off, were a staple in the Metro in the playoffs. And the Islanders were never an easy out. And even if they were, they beat the shit out of you on the way down. They played the Florida Panthers. They'd play the Lightning. Like they would play a lot of really good teams. And this is one of the first years where we've seen, okay, them versus the Sens. Sens could be good, but we'll see what happens. No, they dumpster them. And then they dumpster the Flyers, who we did somehow even made the playoffs. And now they're injured on top of that. Like, it's a pretty easy, as far as NHL playoff standards goes, fairly easy trip to the conference finals. And then you get there and it's going to be the Sabres or the Canadiens, who I think are both very good teams. They've done well this season, but I'm not putting them on the same level of Tampa or Florida whenever the Hurricanes have had to meet them. Mostly because those teams would end up generally going on to win the cup or at least beat them and get to the finals, right? So in the past 6 years. They might just find the perfect route through the East, and then they get to the finals, and then they're going to have to face somebody truly scary. Most likely the Colorado Avalanche, but we'll see.
Well, Colorado Avalanche,
even the Avs, they've had to face some bastards in Minnesota, and they're probably not going to like whoever else they get afterwards. Like, they might be a little banged up. They're a much more skilled team than, frankly, anyone else in the league, but they might be more banged up than Carolina. Carolina might have found the perfect opportunity to get in there and win a cup.
Yeah, I mean, the door is wide.
You can't ask for a better bracket if you're a Canes fan.
Yeah, they're just guys like Stankoven is tied for
so good.
The lead in goals. Taylor Hall have an incredible run. Jackson Blake, that line is just hit a new level and is just dominating. And then the defense doing their job, goaltending. It's just a really good team right now, and you would not be surprised if they are 12-0 going into the Stanley Cup final, and a team that they could be playing up against, as long as you don't have anything left to say on this series.
I'm good.
The Colorado Avalanche, who last night in an elimination game to knock off the Minnesota Wild, went down 3-0 in the first period and came back to win that game 4-3 in overtime to take down a very good Minnesota Wild team in 5 games. This was the matchup that, going into the playoffs, we were kind of talking that's going to be a battle between Dallas and Minnesota. The winner's going to go on, obviously, play Colorado. A lot of us felt like that's our Stanley Cup final matchup. This is the two of the best teams in the league going at it in the second round. This is what we should be getting in the Western Conference final. And
yeah,
Colorado fucking beat them in 5.
You beat their brakes off, man.
Which one is more embarrassing, do you think? The game 1 beat down of 9-6 or the comeback? In my opinion, I think it's the comeback,
I think it has to be the comeback, because at least
9 on them in game 1.
I mean, at least in game 1, you can go, we scored 6 goals. We're very good. We just had a rough night on that end of it. Like that's one of those games where you can call a wash because it's so out there. And you know, if it was 9-0, that'd be brutal. 9-6 sucks, but you can deal with it. The elimination game letting up a 3-0 comeback is that's brutal.
Inexcusable.
That's awful. And they had
it really
they had a
is.
2-goal lead with 5 minutes left, and then it was really funny because my wife and I were watching a movie, and the movie finished, and she was like, "Hey, the Avs Wild game is on. Do we want to swap over and check that out?" And there was about 7 minutes left in the third when we turned it on. And I watched 1 minute and went, "How the hell is the score 3-1? The Avs are all over them." And I was like, surely they're going to tie it up. They're running around with it. And bing, bing, there you go. It's tied up. And then what? 3-4 minutes into overtime, Brett Kulak with one of the easiest series clinching goals of all time because Marty Necas made a great pass. Necas. Like the goalie was out of it, no screen. Like he just literally had to hit the net, and just like that, Minnesota's out. And
out in round 2. And again, it's a good Wild team, but we did highlight, you know, as far back as the trade deadline, even a step further, you know, back in December when they made the trade for Quinn Hughes, their center depth was hurting after that trade. And, you know, you kind of only really had Eriksson Ek, and
he was injured for at least 2 games, right?
He didn't play at all in the second round. He didn't play in any of the 5 games.
Yeah, he didn't even play. Like,
so, you know, trade deadline, we're talking about that's what Minnesota needs to do. And you make some moves and some good depth players who kind of came through for you in moments in Nick Foligno and Michael McCarron and whatnot. But that doesn't address the need for a top 6 center that you were desperately needing. And that proved to kind of be their biggest weakness. When Eriksson Ek's injured, not playing in the second round, you're fucked. And
I mean, their center depth was just Ryan Hartman, Michael McCarron, Danila Yurov, Nico Sturm. That's brutal.
Like that's just
you got
not
Ryan
acceptable.
Hartman playing with Zuccarello and Kaprizov. Like, you can't expect to win a series when on the other side you have Nathan McKinnon, Brock Nelson, Nazem Kadri, and Jack Drury. Like,
it's unacceptable for Minnesota, and that's why they're done. I think it would have been a much closer series if they had Eriksson Ek, if they had another top 6 defenseman in there. I mean, Quinn Hughes, 15 points. Kirill Kaprizov, 15 points in the playoffs. Matt Boldy, 13 points. Brock Faber, 10. Like, your big dogs were showing up, but, you know, when Colorado's just bulldozing you down the middle because you have, you know, all your centers are playing like 2 lines up from what they should be, you're going to be in trouble. You're probably going to lose that. And I mean, the one game the Wild did win pretty convincingly, 5-1.
Yeah.
That was actually the biggest win margin of this series, 4 goals. Colorado's was 3-3-3-1. So Minnesota actually had the biggest statement win in this series, but it just wasn't sustainable with
they don't ask how,
lack of center depth. No. And Colorado's 8-1. Minnesota once again bounced in round 2. You have yet to get past that second round. They did get past the first round finally and beating a good Dallas team, but
there was a lot to like for them this season.
You know, they got to absolutely.
This was not the ending they hoped for. You'd hope it at least a little more competitive.
Yeah, you got to move one of your goalies and get a centerman in there, and that makes your team that much better. Because again, like what good is Philip Gustafsson doing for you sitting on the bench all playoffs? That's a good goalie that can get you a good return.
And Gustafsson has a full no movement clause for 3 years.
He'll waive it though if he's not going to be playing.
Sure, but he's not going to waive it to go to a bad
not
team.
To anywhere, but to a Edmonton, to an Ottawa, he'd probably waive it. Yeah, because the alternative is
Ottawa, maybe.
Well, the alternative is you stay in Minnesota and you play 20 games a year.
Well, yeah, but it's just on as much on Minnesota to get him out of there. Like, they probably want him
Yeah.
gone more than he would want to move. Like, because his extension kicks in this offseason, he's making 6.8 mil, and they're gonna have to pay Gustafsson in. He can get extension July 1st. They're gonna want to get Gustafsson out there to free up that money for a center. So they're gonna have to find a place that works for him, and they can get a fair return, and that's interesting. You don't see goalies that like are as good as Gustafsson is with an extension about to kick in that has how long is it? 4 years? Yeah. So after this season, then 4 years on his new extension. Reasonable cap hit, I would say. He's pretty
I don't
young.
think they were expecting Jesper Wallstedt to take off the way he did this season.
Well,
Had a
no, because
pretty
they were
rough
looking at
year
trading
last
him.
year, and
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see what they do with that. Goalies
Brett Kulak,
are
you mentioned,
very hard to find.
Yeah, Brett Kulak. I mean, we thought it was insane that Edmonton traded him, considering he was their best, defensive defenseman, and it's something that they kind of need, especially come playoff time. Could have used a guy like that.
Yeah, really.
A lot of people thought it was a bit of an overpay by Colorado, giving up a second and Sam Girard for Brett Kulak, but they knew what they were doing. They knew what they were getting. They needed that type of player, and his defensive game already has just been solid enough, but yeah, let's add on a series clinching overtime goal for him just for fun. Why not? Just to make it look even that much better.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it really feels like we're destined for a Colorado Carolina final here.
Like, it sounds like an insane outcome, but it's one that could very easily happen where Carolina goes 12-0 into the finals and then gets swept. Like, odds are that won't happen because odds are they'll sneak one win from Colorado, or Colorado won't make it, or they'll lose one game in the conference finals, right? But like, it wouldn't be that shocking if they swept a Habs team and then the Avs got there and put on the big boy pants and said, "Let's go fucking win this thing convincingly." Like, it's so ridiculous. This Colorado team looks so good. Like, I don't know if there's any team over the last few years who can beat them.
Yeah, and that's a good Minnesota. But this is what the more I watch Colorado, I just kept thinking, and I went back to it, and I know a lot of people don't agree with it and whatnot, but that's why I was always like, if Minnesota or if Florida makes the playoffs and goes back to the final, fuck it, I'm all for it. Because imagine that Florida team going up against this Avalanche team, like that would be potentially one of the greatest Stanley Cup finals ever.
Yeah, like, honestly, I think this team just feels destined to win the cup to me because they are the only two teams that I can think of in recent memory that are on their level are the 2020 Lightning and the 2024 Panthers. The first Stanley Cup win for each of those respected teams in those windows. Before they had any cap casualties, before who was the guy? Who was the guy who left Florida and went to Seattle in free agency?
Montour.
Oh, Montour. I knew it wasn't Forsling. Like, when they still had him and they hadn't lost him yet, and Tampa having the fourth line of, Tyler Johnson, Carter Verhaeghe, and Pat Maroon, like ridiculously deep and skilled teams like that. That's the level that this Avs team looks to be on. Yeah. And yeah, they look like one of those teams that's going to win a cup without even being forced to a single Game 7.
Yeah.
They really could get beat,
kind of feel that way,
and it would surely make the playoffs interesting. But man, the way they're playing right now, it looks hard to believe.
Well, and the team that they seem poised to be facing in the Western Conference Final, potentially the Vegas Golden Knights, who are up 3-2 in the series over the Anaheim Ducks. Game 6 tonight, the day we are recording this on the Thursday. So we'll know by the end of the night if it's going to be Vegas, Colorado, or if Anaheim's going to force that Game 7. Series is tied up 2-2. Vegas takes Game 5 in overtime. Pavel Dorofeyev, yet another massive goal for the Golden Knights.
That was a sick goal. The feed from Eichel across, like, that was a ridiculous pass and an even more ridiculous finish. Man, Dorofeyev is gonna make bank this offseason. That guy's gonna get freaking paid.
Yeah. Oh, is he ever?
I'm trying to remember the two names of guys that are out tonight for Vegas. Mark
Probably
Stone.
Mark Stone.
Mark Stone is still out. I know he's one of them. No, he doesn't even play for them. Who else? They got a suspension on their team as well. They got
Braden McNabb suspended one game for interference.
Which, frankly, I kind of like. I didn't think they were going to give him a suspension, but I don't mind a one-game playoff suspension. Like, it's so too bad, man. It was a phenomenal hit, like, right in the chest. Like, the guy just wasn't ready for it and wasn't near the puck. If the guy had the puck, it would have been a 5-star phenomenal hit. But he wasn't eligible to be hit at all. So
yeah,
that was just
textbook interference. So
I watching it back, I can't tell if it was like dirty or just, I think more than anything, it was just brain dead. I think he just got caught not processing it in his brain for a minute and was like, the play is vaguely over on that wall. He'll probably get the puck. I'm going to go lay this guy out. And he didn't. Yeah. And now he's going to be out for a game. They also got, like we said, Captain Stone out there.
The door's open for the Ducks to force a Game 7.
The door is absolutely open.
Ducks at home. Last game at home they had against Vegas, they did win it 4-3.
Jeremy Lauzon is also out for Game 6.
Okay.
He's the other one who was out with an injury. So don't know how bad that is. They asked Tortorella if they made the trip with the team, and he said, he just repeated himself. He said, they're out. And the media went, okay, I'll go promptly fuck myself.
The door's open for the Ducks to tie this series up. I mean, it's a good Ducks team. It's a good Golden Knights team. This has been a close series for the most part. Great battles. I'm excited for this game tonight. Again, this is probably the series I've enjoyed the most. In the second round, which is pretty crazy considering the Pacific Division is kind of like very clearly the weakest division, but this has been the most fun. And maybe this is the start of a new rivalry here. You know, Vegas probably isn't going anywhere anytime soon, at least for the next couple of years. Anaheim's already in here and only going to get better and on the rise more. I'd love to see a Game 7 between these teams and, really start something that a rivalry can build on and grow around. As I'm sure we'll see these teams in the playoffs not too far from now. What's your prediction for this series and how it ends up?
I want to say even Vegas in 7, but I
think that was my original prediction, was Vegas in 7.
I'm gonna go Vegas in 6. I don't want it to happen. I think we're gonna get the most boring outcome, even if it's a phenomenal game. I think Vegas is gonna seal the deal. I think they're gonna.
There's potential that we might only have one 7-game series in the entire playoffs, and that's sad.
Yeah, and
it's very
got the goofiest Game 7 ever in that series as well.
I'm gonna go Vegas in 7. I think that was my original prediction. I'll stick with it. I think the Ducks are gonna get the job done tonight. I think they're gonna have that mentality now of backs are against the wall. Let's play like it's our final game and leave it all out there and throw everything on net and just do what we can. And I think it's going to be enough. Again, a Vegas team that is missing McNabb, is missing Lauzon, Stone. Those are guys that can munch minutes for Vegas, and guys are going to be forced into different roles. Guys are going to be forced to be playing more than they usually would. Yeah, give me the Ducks. Give me the Ducks tonight, but
I hope you're right.
In Game 7. It kind of feels like one of those ones that just kind of feels like Vegas is destined to win this in 7. The Ducks push them right to the brink and give Vegas all they can handle, but kind of very similar to Utah, that experience is just going to be what gives Vegas the edge in the end. And takes down the Ducks. And I think Vegas, Colorado is probably more exciting than Anaheim, Colorado. I think just in terms of the pure top end talent and two teams that have won a cup recently, relatively similar, have kind of held on to their core for the most part. A couple big losses on both sides, but yeah, it just feels like Vegas, Colorado, but Colorado probably slaps them pretty good and pretty easily, I think.
Yeah,
given how they just manhandled the Wild.
Right? Like I want to give some of these other teams the benefit of the doubt, but don't even think about the Western Conference. I'm thinking any team in the league, like, God, does any team force them to 6? Like, they look so good right now that it's just it's tough to imagine,
crazy.
especially with a guy like Carter Hart in net. Like, he's been doing fine for him, but like, is he going to steal you a game against the Avalanche when McKinnon can just decide, I can see the top of the net and just bury it? Yeah. He more often misses those shots when there's no goalie in net than when there is in net. So
yeah, fuck yeah. Buffalo, Montreal. Game 5 of that series taking place tonight. The series is tied up at 2 apiece. I mean, what are your thoughts here? You're the big Atlantic Division guy.
A lot of people, I think, were writing off Montreal a little bit early in this series, but they've looked good, and Buffalo's looked. I hesitate to say it a little bit, but at times weirdly lazy. Sometimes out there, it's not for too long of stretches, and it's not for entire games, but sometimes they'll just take an entire period off and just like let the Habs come at them and let them dictate the entire play, and that's not a winning combo. But as it stands, it is 2-2. They got a real lucky bounce for a goal for power play goal for Tage Thompson that just throws it into the zone off a pane of glass directly into the back of Dubas and in the net. Like, usually when you see goals like that, there's a lot more bouncing and puck rolling and weird stuff. That one just bam, bam,
straight bam, bam. Yeah.
Like any goal like that, that's the most purposeful looking one I've ever seen. Like, as far as did he do it intentionally? No way. But that looked more intentional than most of the time when it bounces off the stanchion and in.
Yeah. I mean, and these are two teams that are starting to hate each other. Like, you're starting to see the physicalness, the nastiness, the cheap shots.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, like this is what we want in playoff hockey. Like, and again, I hope we get 7 games out of these guys, but even if we don't, and it ends in 6, we've got a great 6 games of hockey between these teams then.
Yeah.
Because these teams clearly don't like each other. They are pretty evenly matched. Like, when Montreal wins, they kind of dominate the games and can kind of pull away when they got a lead. But Buffalo can have a 1-goal lead in the third, and they can sit back and be like, you're not scoring on us. You're not getting past us. And so there's parts to like with both teams, and both teams play a different way when they have the lead, and they excel at it. Yeah. Whether you think it's boring, whether you think it's fun, whether you think it's annoying, doesn't matter. They're good at it. And that's probably the exact same tonight. If Buffalo can go into the third with a lead and sit on it, they're all good. If Montreal can go into the third with a lead, they'll just keep racking it up and try and embarrass Buffalo. And there's nothing wrong with either one of those.
Yeah.
Two different teams that hate each other. That's playoff hockey.
What's your prediction for how the rest of this series goes down? Got a 2-2 tie right now. Who's winning, and does it go 7?
I've
got my answer if you want me to go first.
Yeah, you can go first. I think I have mine.
I do think this series goes 7. I think each team gets another win. And I'm actually going to change my answer for what I said going into the series. I believe I originally said Sabres win, and I think I said in 6 games, maybe. I'm going to say Habs in 7. I think they just look a little bit faster. I don't necessarily think they're a better team, And frankly, I think the Sabres match up better into the Hurricanes system specifically. Like, something about the Habs Hurricanes matchup just sounds like a nightmare for Montreal to me. Like, I feel like their offense is going to dry up, and the Habs are just going to get 3 goals by throwing 45 shots on net from the blue line. And I think they could just do that all series. But the way they've been playing against these Sabres and the way they've been able to dictate a lot of the play, and they just are it feels like a lot more creative in the offensive zone. I think they're able to get to the net front a little bit better right now in the last few games. I think they've just got the secret sauce right now.
Buffalo's just not playing as tough as they can be. Like, they should be the toughest
They should
team,
be
but they're playing soft.
Them.
They're playing soft. It's what it is. I'll go Buffalo in 7, just to keep it different, so we're not going with the same answer. Sure. But again, like, I do believe that this is a series that is going to go 7, whether who wins tonight or the next game. I think each team takes one, because they're just teams that they can just counter each other in the best of ways. I'm still waiting for Cole Caulfield to register an even strength point in the playoffs. He's up to 7 points, 3 goals, 4 assists, all power play still. And
man, I saw one of the replays.
There's a very good chance he pops off for a hat trick tonight, and all even strength. Like, it's possible, but we keep saying like it's got to happen eventually. It's got to happen, but sooner or later we're starting to get to the point now where it's like it's got to happen like soon here. Like, you could be out of the playoffs soon, and that would be pretty rough to again have the season he had, and then it's like 7 points in the playoffs is good, but when you're only racking them up on the power play and your goals, I mean.
Maybe that's why goals, the Sabres are playing less aggressive, trying to keep the Pims down because they know that the Habs are feasting on that.
You can't give Montreal a power play. That is very true, absolutely, and maybe that's part of their game plan. But again, like, you're the much bigger team, and you're at times you're looking like the way softer team, and that's not what Buffalo did in the regular season.
No,
that's not what it was. A big part of what helped them.
And the last thing they wanted to
win
was
the
fall
Atlantic
back into
division. Yeah,
because that's what they had been soft for 15 years before that, and everyone hated it. Like,
don't be tough in the regular season and get to the playoffs and be like, all right, we're going to go back into our shell. Like, you're going to lose then. And then, again, there's no guarantee this Sabres team is back in the playoffs next year or within the next 10 years. Like, that's the way it goes in this league. There's no guarantee. So they need to get back to their game. I think they will. But again, I do think some of the guys that have been a bit cold on Montreal are going to start to get going. So I think we're in for a fun couple of games coming up.
Absolutely. I guess that's all the NHL playoff stuff we have here. We haven't talked about it a lot, but one thing I do want to bring up briefly and get a couple of predictions here is the PWHL. The PWHL, they have their finals set to start on May 14th. That's today. Hell yeah, look at that. Today, so I guess yesterday, for the time this podcast comes out, is the time of game 1 of the finals. They only do best of 5s in the PWHL as opposed to the best of 7s. So first team to win 3 games wins the Walter Cup. And the 2 teams facing off, the Montreal Victoire and the Ottawa Charge. Obviously, we covered the NHL. Yeah, they got beat out last second in a game 5 by the Victoire. Huge goal by MPP, Philippe Poulin. Brundy. I know we mostly cover the NHL, but I figured this was important enough to shout it out.
Don't do this to me.
Don't
do it to me.
Who do you got pick winning Montreal. The Walter Cup?
I'll pick Montreal. To be honest, nice. It's very difficult for me to be able to watch PWHL games, and the ones I do are typically a lot of Minnesota games. But I'll go with Montreal. I mean, they are, like, in terms of the players they do have, they are the better team. And again, in my thing, if the way Minnesota's kind of dominated this league so far in its early years, Montreal's the only team that's knocked them off. So it kind of seems fitting that they're going to be the ones to take over and win the Walter Cup this year. So
I completely agree. I'm going with Montreal as well. Marie-Philippe Poulin just been playing absolutely fantastic. And Rene Desbiens has been incredible in net for the Victoire as well. So I absolutely love that for them. So yeah, I'm going Victoire as well. But the Charge also took down the Boston Fleet, who looked very good in the semifinals. So should be a good final. We got a all Canadian Walter Cup final as well, which means the Walter Cup is guaranteed to come to Canada, which you
for the
always
first
just love to
time.
see. So
And we got
that'll be fun.
three new expansion teams.
Yeah, they got announced.
Hamilton, Detroit, and Las Vegas. And I believe it sounds like an official announcement will come out on the 19th, I think I heard. San Jose will be getting a PWHL team as well. So it sounds like it's
likely.
a four-team expansion. It's good for the league. It's good for the players.
I was really hoping we were going to get one in Calgary or at least in Alberta.
I think Calgary will maybe become a once the new arena would be done, though.
That's the thing, because the PWHL said that they don't want to expand too much more after they hit that 12-team mark. And they're an 8-team league right now. So the new 3 teams, that's 11. They announced San Jose, that's 12. So they want to stay at that a bit, kind of let the league stabilize, maybe even find owners, because right now the league just owns all the teams. So I think they might want to make some kind of bigger adjustments league-wide before going expansion again after these 4. But, I mean, who knows? They also said they wanted to do 2 this offseason, 2 next offseason, and they've already announced 3 teams. So,
yeah,
who knows?
It shows the league's doing well, so I think anything is possible. Yeah,
it's looking really good. It's a lot of fun. Yeah, if you have chance to go see a PWHL game in person, I highly recommend it. Did that while I was in Vancouver, and it was a lot of fun. Immaculate vibes.
Hockey games are always just the best. Just always a great time.
Just a good freaking time.
We were talking about a couple PWHL teams in Canada. Team Canada, we got some news here.
Yes,
a new era in Canadian hockey. For the first time since scoring the golden goal in 2010, Sidney Crosby will not be the captain for Team Canada.
Is that confirmed now?
That is officially confirmed as of 10-ish minutes ago. Macklin Celebrini was named captain of Team Canada over at the Worlds in Switzerland. And a couple days later, it's announced Sidney Crosby is joining the team. And we all kind of just thought Celebrini's going to give him the C. And
they interviewed both guys about it.
Why wouldn't
and Celebrini, the entire interview, talked in past tense about the captaincy. He was already talking like he wasn't captain anymore. Celebrini doesn't want the captaincy. He'd like to be captain someday. He doesn't want it if he's playing with Crosby on the bench.
Yeah.
And
they're probably going to be on the same line again.
Yeah, like every player on that team feels the exact same, would feel the same way. Did they give a reason? I haven't seen this yet. Did they just say he's already captain?
They said that Celebrini will remain captain. Sidney Crosby will be an alternate captain. This was decided after a player-led discussion where the players decided they wanted Celebrini to keep the C. So this wasn't a Celebrini deciding it. It wasn't a Crosby. It sounds like it was a decision by the players on the team being like, he's our guy, which I think is pretty incredible. And I don't think it's any shade to Crosby at all. It's nothing against Crosby from these players. I think it's just simply
Crosby said
Celebrini came here at the start. He's kind of the future. Crosby is probably like the World Cup. He's going to have the C still. If he's around for next Olympics, he's still going to have it. So they figured, hey, you know what? It's the Worlds. It's kind of the smallest thing for Team Canada.
It's the smallest international stage.
Let him run with it. And Yeah, but
That's interesting.
It's going to be weird seeing Sidney Crosby wearing a Team Canada jersey and not having to see that.
I'm not going to pretend to like it because, frankly, it's just wrong to me to have Crosby on any Canadian team and not be the captain. Obviously, no problem with it being Celebrini. Just the fact that is literally the GOAT. It's literally the greatest Canadian, and
yeah. But it shows that we're starting to.
But that was 100% Crosby's decision. If Crosby said, "Give me the C," they would have said yes.
Yeah,
sir.
well, and Crosby would never ask for that.
Exactly.
Though.
Exactly. We know he didn't. And yeah. So
just want to throw that there because that's
absolutely very interesting that
Team Canada.
That's really interesting that he's doing that for Celebrini. There's obviously the timeline didn't work out and things got weird and he ended up not going. And, Bedard could have been in that spot and he's not. And, we haven't even really got this between McDavid and Crosby. It wasn't too long McDavid was in the league before he kind of took over that best player in the world mantle, but it was always going to be Crosby's the guy until he retires. But
yeah.
Yeah,
that's interesting though.
And you know what? Stuff like this, it makes it really interesting. We get to next Olympics. Say Crosby's still there. Okay, probably captain then.
Yeah.
Who are your alternates? McDavid, surely.
And probably Makar. Still, you probably do run the
Makar. Like, do they dump Makars and give it to Celebrini? Maybe.
No, I don't. Because I think these teams always want to have at least one on each side. One, whether it's 2 defense and 1 forward, or
like it's crazy. Like McKinnon's like 5th or lower on the list for guys to get a letter. Yeah, that's ridiculous.
It's pretty. It just shows the talent that not only Canada's, but just a bunch of these teams now, and players just getting better and better to the point where it's like, when we have these conversations about it, shows that guys are always kind of left out of the conversation when they probably shouldn't be, but it's just a lot of good young players kind of taking over the game now.
Yeah.
League's in good hands.
Bedard's not going to... He's not on this team, right?
No.
Is Schaefer? I haven't heard anything about Schaefer. Okay, interesting.
No, neither one of them. But I guess we're near the tail end of the episode here. And everybody knows, as always, we like to wrap things up with a fun game. Braden, today for you, we have Player Blender. Ooh. For those unfamiliar with Player Blender, pretty simple. I have 2 players. I have a little blurb for each of them, and it's up to Braden and you at home to figure out who the 2 players are, and you'll know you figured it out because their names blend together as one. Pretty simple. There's always a hint available if need be. Braden, are you ready?
I am ready.
You are ready. Player number 1. I am a bit surprised to still be on my team after my name was all over the place around the trade deadline. With my team committing to a retool, it's a bit puzzling I wasn't traded for younger assets. In round 2 here, I definitely saw a team that could have really used a player like me to address a major weakness of theirs.
Okay.
And that is player number 1. Player number 2.
I got to imagine, just talking a little bit about my thought process, I got to assume like a team in round 2 should have addressed this glaring weakness. Unless we're talking about like a team's penalty killer power play, which none are really sticking out that much to me. It's got to be Minnesota and the centerman position. Traded from a team we thought he'd get traded from this team as a centerman. You thought they'd get younger. Instead, they are going into a retool. I'm thinking maybe the Predators. I'm thinking maybe a Ryan O'Reilly or a Stamkos, but I think we might have had both of those guys already in one of these player blenders. So that seems also unlikely. So
I'll give you the second player here, and I'll let you.
Yeah.
See if that gets the brain turning it all for you. Player number 2.
Player 2.
Despite being one of the best in my position when it comes to the way I play, it still seems that I get overlooked at times. People knew I was good at my job, but people took more of a notice in my game after the Four Nations. A lot of playoff heartbreaks in my career, but can this finally be the year that we get the job done?
Okay.
That is player number 2 there.
Interesting.
So now, we've got everything for the 2 players, just figuring out who they are and...
Can you read the second player one again? Just want to hear that again.
Despite being one of the best in my position when it comes to the way I play, it still seems that I get overlooked at times. People knew I was good at my job, but they really took more of a notice in my game after the Four Nations. A lot of playoff heartbreaks in my career, but can this finally be the year that we get the job done?
So there's a lot of guys, obviously, who have had a lot of playoff heartbreak. But a guy who's one of the best in his position has had playoff heartbreak, but everyone took notice of at Four Nations. At Four Nations. I mean, so I'm thinking if, does it... It's obviously harder to think about if it's a guy, on one of the other teams we don't know as well as the U.S. or Canadian teams, but a guy who made a big splash, who had a great playoffs and had made a big splash, Brandon Hagel at the Four Nations, best in his position. I mean, as far as wingers go, yeah, he's up there at least in these playoffs, but a lot of playoff heartbreak. He's pretty young. He hasn't won a cup or anything, but
he also can't win the cup this year.
That is true. So it's got to be a guy who's still in the playoffs. I was thinking Brent Burns, but top of his position in his day, absolutely not really anymore. And I mean, he wasn't even at Four Nations. Who stepped up in Four Nations? A guy like Thomas Harley, but he's out. Who stepped up? A lot of playoff heartbreak, notoriously so, in Toronto. Playing very well right now. I would say Mitch Marner's a top guy in his position right now. It's been very good. Did very well in the Four Nations, although I don't know if he broke out at the Four Nations, but Mitch Marner kind of fits the bill there. Ian Mitchell Marner. All right, I'm gonna hesitantly think there's a chance it's Mitch Marner. I think that's a good starting point. I think I only need 2 reads per ones. If we're doing 3, that's too many. But I'll hear the first
player again.
The first player again.
I'm a bit surprised to still be on my team after my name was all over the place around the trade deadline. With my team committing to a retool, it's a bit puzzling I wasn't traded for younger assets. In round 2 here, I definitely saw a team that could have really used a player like me to address a major weakness of theirs.
It's got to be a centerman on Minnesota. That's got to be the reference. They're a centerman on a team declaring into a rebuild.
Retool,
sorry. Was there anything else in there besides those 2? Not really. A retool. Well, what teams are in a retool?
I mean, the first part is also important, as his name was all over the place around the trade deadline.
That's the other part. In the trade deadline. But who is in rumors at the deadline?
Remember, there always is one free hint available.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna need that hint. I've got some guys I've got an eye on, but I don't. It's not fully fitting.
These 2 players have been teammates both in the NHL and twice internationally.
Interesting. Very interesting. I don't know if you can say, is one of those international times where they were playing together at Four Nations?
Yep.
I mean, that narrows it down. That narrows it down to about 20-ish guys. But who would it be? I really think that second guy's got to be Mitch Marner. I'd be shocked if it wasn't. But who else would it be? Like, I don't think it's... No, it's not. It's not Mark Stone. It needs to be a center. It needs to be a guy who is on a team that's not doing as great. Trying to think of their freaking center depth. Who plays center for this godforsaken team? Connor McDavid, Nathan McKinnon, Scott Crosby.
Suzuki.
I literally had to
was
double
Four
take.
Nations?
Wait, did the Penguins even make the playoffs? They were so bad going into this year. I can't believe they made it. Like, it was still such a feat. Like,
I'll give you
Tom Wilson,
one
Sam
more
Bennett,
minute
Smart.
here, but I will
That's
tell
fair.
you, you're not on the right track with Mitch Marner.
I'm not on the track. Oh,
I will tell
jeez,
you
it's
that.
not.
Yeah.
I've been trying to think of guys that like transition into Marner, like name wise, because I was confident on that.
Yeah, you're not on the right track with Mitch Marner.
All right, so it's two unknown guys on the
Teammates at Four
team.
Nations and the Olympics.
And the Olympics. This year's Olympics.
Yeah.
So both guys made it both times. One of them is a centerman on a rebuilding team. One of them is a player who is very good at their position and has been through some heartbreak. I mean, frankly, that could just be McDavid.
But can this finally be the year that we get the job done?
So it's on a team that's still around. So playoff heartbreak. I mean, the Habs went to the final in 2021. 2020? 2021. Is player 2 Nick Suzuki? Mark Stone, Nick Suzuki? Nah. I don't know if I have either player. I don't think I got it.
Yeah. You're thinking of the wrong team completely.
Yeah, I honestly don't remember. I could name like maybe 5 players from each other team without thinking for too long. Like, I could get there eventually, but
so the first player, and everyone at home lock your answers in. The first player, the centerman, you did have that figured out, and I was referring to the Minnesota Wild. Vincent Trocheck.
That makes a lot of sense.
Vinny Trocheck.
I was wondering for a bit if it was Elias Lindholm, but I was like, I don't think the Bruins have declared anything about a retool.
Yeah, haven't declared.
Anything.
Yeah.
So,
and the other player, good at their job, but people really took more notice to them after the Four Nations. Jacob Slavin, former teammates in Carolina, and then Four Nations and the Olympics, which means the final answer would have been Jacob Slavini Trocheck or Vincent Trocheck, whichever you wanted to go there. But that is a tough one. I did try to make that one not super easy because I do remember the last time we did this one, you got it.
I was just you got to make them kind of difficult. Yeah, like it's hard to find a balance between not being able to solve it and
having it solved in like a minute.
Yeah,
type of thing.
Yeah.
But we are at the tail end of the episode. We do thank all of you for tuning in.
I'm getting a phone call from my wife, so you can do the outro.
All right. I will do final thoughts today. But yes, we're at the end of the episode. We do want to thank all of you for tuning in to yet another episode of the Stick 'em Up podcast. Oh yeah, he's gone. He's out of here. If you want to talk hockey, let us know your thoughts on anything and everything in the episode that we discussed, or maybe didn't discuss. You can do so through any of our socials, or over on YouTube in the comments as well, or the community tab. This is the time where I would ask Braden for final thoughts, but he is no longer here with us right now. So I will throw out some final thoughts for you guys. I think we're getting a Colorado Carolina Stanley Cup final. It feels very, and you know what? There's nothing wrong with that. That would be the most fun final, I think, in my opinion. I think it would be the most entertaining matchup, given they are combined 16-1 through rounds 1 and 2 in the playoffs. It might be boring being the most predictable, but there's no denying that that'll be the most fun matchup, in my opinion. But that is it for this episode one final time. We do want to thank all of you tuning in. And as always, we will see all of you lovely people out on the ice next week.